Greetings Realm Lords, CORBricks here, and welcome to another video of me nerding out over my big, giant LEGO wargame that I've got together all around me. Now, instead of talking about any units that I have or rules that I have, I figured today would be a good day to make a video that goes over one of the more practical challenges that I had to overcome in the Circle of Realms when I put together this wargame, and that is keeping track of everything. I mean, this is a complicated game. We've got money that we have to keep track of. We have tech ages that we have to keep track of. We have to keep track of how we're researching those. So tech ages, they take time to research. So we have to be able to count down each turn as we're doing that. And we also, above all else, have to keep track of our wounds on our units. I have some really beefy units in the Circle of Realms. The strongest of them has 50 hit points. And a real practical challenge with a game like this is how do we record damage for a unit that has 50 hit points while recording damage for everybody else and not doing something that just takes up an ungodly amount of space. So this is an old problem. It goes all the way back to when I first made the game. We've always had to keep track of stuff like this. In fact, it was probably worse when I first made the game because when I first made the game, the numbers were truly ridiculous. Nowadays, you can find a unit that has 50 hit points, but I think there's like 2 of them in the entire Circle of Realms, including all the factions that I haven't converted over yet. So they're not super common. But back when I first made the game, my numbers were very, very high all the time. I was a kid and I thought big number equal better game. Boy, did I have a lot to learn. But back then it wasn't too bad to keep track of them because the system that I had was very straightforward. All I did was, instead of having what I have behind me here today, I just had an expo board up on the wall in the room and we just made separate columns for each of the teams that we're playing. And in those columns we record how much gold they had. If anyone got hurt, we would write the name of the unit and the number of wounds it had, and so on and so forth. It could get a little bit unwieldy when there was a lot of damage on the battlefield, but no matter what, these kinds of things are going to get unwieldy when there's a lot going on. But it worked. It was straightforward, it was simple, and it was very effective. It just didn't look super great because, you know, it was an expo board, we were all writing on it, and my handwriting is absolutely atrocious, so it didn't always look super professional. That was our first stage of recording things. Eventually, later on, when I was in college, I switched over to using a spreadsheet system. I actually created a very complicated Excel spreadsheet filled with macros and everything. I mean, I was kind of pushing the limits of what Excel can do. I mean, this spreadsheet was crazy. You could set up each different team that was playing, and then you could switch between their turns. So when it went to your turn, if you had a mine that generated money for you, it just added that money right away to your income and did anything else that needed to be recorded for that turn. And then you could manually enter in each unit that got hurt and type up the damage that they have, and so on. I even had this thing linked to Windows Media Player so that when you went to the new turn of a new player, it started to play a music playlist for that particular faction. So like my orcs had like this very like dun, 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 going on in the background, and our knights had like kind of like happier, upbeat Lord of the Rings music for the Cursed Kingdom, and so on and so forth. And that was very fancy. I had it linked to a TV, so it looked really nice when we had it set up, but there was something I didn't like about it, and that was that my tabletop war game was looking a little bit like a video game when we did that. So, I mean, we've got music playing, we've got like programs running to automate stuff. I don't like that idea the older I get. The more I think of playing a game like this, the more tangible and physical I want every aspect of it to be. If I want to play a video game, I'm gonna go play a video game. I don't really want more technology in my game than I need. In fact, I don't really want any technology in my game if I can avoid it. Maybe that's just me aging up and becoming more like the boomers who came before me. But you know, not everything needs to be electronic. Plus, we're already using our phones to look at the stats of every single unit when we're playing the game. So that's a lot of looking at a screen as it is. I don't want to add any more than that. So what is my solution to that problem? Well, that is this guy right over here. This is my count board that I've come up with, and I think it's quite genius. I really think this is a clever thing that I have created. Maybe you'll disagree, but let me show you, because what I've created over here is a board that's 100% physical. It has a way of recording damage for all of our units. We can record our countdowns for technologies that are being researched, anything else that has something that's going to happen over time in the game or numbers to keep track of. We keep track of it on this count board over here, and we do it without writing anything down. There's no writing on the count board, it's purely just moving things around. So what is the count board? Well, it is a bunch of card holders. They range from 1 all the way down to 35. And this is where you're going to put cards to show that things are happening in the Circle of Realms. So for example, let's say that you are playing as the Cursed Kingdom and you are researching a technology. This right here would be a technology card. Say you're researching supply caravans, which is a Tech Age 1 technology, and it's got a duration of 2. That's what that little hourglass thing is there for. So we've got a duration of 2, so that means that when we start researching supply caravans, we're gonna take this card and we're gonna put it right there in the number 2 slot on the count board. And then when your next turn comes around, it's going to move 1 down to position number 1 on the count board. And then when you are done with the technology, you're going to pop it out on your next turn. You're going to take this card, and you're going to put it in your card holder to show that you've researched the technology and that you have it and that no one can take it from you. This is also the board where we go to monitor damage. So for example, maybe you've got a Hawk Knight on the battlefield. We've got Hawk Knight number 3. Now, Hawk Knight number 3, he's got 10 hit points. Let's say someone attacks him on the battlefield and he gets 5 wounds. We would drop him off in the 5 there. If he takes more damage after that, we could move him up to 6 or 7 or 8, and we can keep moving him up until he gets killed. We can also do this with heroes. So I recently introduced everyone to Sir Simon Oblive right here. He's got 25 hit points. So if he got damaged on the battlefield, say he's got 19 wounds, we'd pop him in on that 19. If he gets more damage than that, let's say he moves up to 22 wounds, we would move him down here. If other units get hurt, we would just add them on. So if this monkey spearman got, I don't know, 4 wounds, we'd plop him in over here. If we have a bear knight that's got 5 wounds, we would add him in right over there. If we have Prince Jalen and say, I don't know, Prince Jalen also has 5 wounds, we'll just add him in to that number 5 card holder. Now that right there is the biggest weakness of this system, is that we can only see 1 card at a time in the 5 wounds. So if we need to check for this other unit, we have to go kind of digging in there to find him. But on a whole, this doesn't actually cause that much trouble. Usually when you're in the middle of a fight and a lot of units are taking damage, you kind of have a memory of who got hurt and what kind of damage they took. Plus, usually if someone's hurt, they're going to keep getting hurt, so you're going to have an idea of where they were and they're going to continue to move up the count board. Now, this count board does only go up to 35, which is an issue for units with very high health. Like, for example, the Royal Siege Tower, which has 40 potential hit points. Now, if this thing's getting damaged, we can put him up the count board. If he hits 35, but then he takes more wounds after that, what I actually have is I have a second card for any unit that has more than 35 hit points, and it has this little icon. I don't know how well you can see it in focus here, but it has this little icon up here that has like a minus 35 broken heart. So this means that this is a unit with 5 hit points left after it's already taken 35 wounds of damage. So if our siege tower takes any more damage than that, we would remove this card and we pop in this card and we'd start over on the count board with it until it hits 5, and then that unit is actually destroyed. Now, like I said, the biggest problem with this is units kind of stacking up on top of each other. That's really only happens so much in this top row over here. Once units start to get heavily damaged, obviously all non-heroes are going to die when they hit 10, so they're not going to get past this mark typically. Heroes will go further, but there aren't a ton of heroes in the game. I know I've got a lot of heroes, but in the grand scheme of things, there aren't so many heroes that they would fill up the rest of this count board. And buildings themselves don't even record damage on here. We record damage with buildings by putting flames onto them. So really it's this top row that kind of gets a lot of congestion in it. And for that reason, I'm thinking about adding some more of these onto the wall. But if you want to see what I did here, I basically just took, I think I went to AliExpress and I just ordered a bunch of remote holders that have dimensions that are very similar to the cards in the Circle of Realms. I went to Amazon and got some stickers with numbers on them, and I just counted up and nailed them to the wall, or I guess I screwed them to the wall. Now, if I want to free up some congestion here, I'm thinking about taking these and building another row on top, just another row of 1 through 7, so you can pick which one you want to put a unit in, and that way we'll have 2 separate sets of 1 through 7 counts to put our cards into so they don't get filled up as fast. So my friends, that's the count board in all of its glory. Please let me know what you think of it in the comments below. You guys sometimes come up with really cool ideas for my game. So let me know if you've got ideas for ways that I can improve it or innovate on it or expand upon it or simplify it. Anything that can make the play experience better for my players. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you are not subscribed to the Circle of Realms yet, please, please, please click that subscribe button. If you want to see more content about the Circle of Realms, if you've been watching my videos, you may have noticed that this one is substantially higher quality because I've got a better recording camera now, which means I will soon be doing a tour overview of the entire game board and what it looks like today. So make sure that you're subscribed so you can see the board in all of its glory and see all the work that I've put into crafting a massive play board and play world for my players here in the Circle of Realms. And if you really want to support this channel, you can check out my Patreon. It's linked in the description below. If you go there and subscribe, you'll get full access to the website where you can see 4 complete factions and all the units on them before I release the videos, so you can see exactly what units look like in my game. And you can also see the working rule set as it is and see changes that I'm making to systems and stats and stuff like that as I go. But no matter what you choose to do, thank you for watching, and as always, be happy, be healthy, be well, and I'll see you next time here in the Circle of Realms.